Welcome to the show. We're continuing our coverage with the politics and situation in the U.S. with the shooting at the President Trump rally. So, we'll start off with a summary as we continue following the story as it unfolds. Donald Trump has returned to his home in New Jersey after he was injured in an attempted assassination at a rally on Saturday. Shots rang out as he was speaking at the event in Pennsylvania, sparking panic in the crowd as Secret Service agents swarmed the former president. Trump, who emerged with a bloodied face, says he was shot in the ear, describing a whizzing sound and feeling a bullet ripping through skin. The FBI has identified the gunman as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. He was shot and killed by the Secret Service. One spectator was killed at the rally, and two others were critically injured. A witness told the BBC they saw a man with a rifle crawling on a roof before shots rang out. We're still surprised the Secret Service didn't catch this, and it was a witness at the rally that saw this. President Joe Biden has condemned the assassination attempt, calling on all Americans to denounce such sick violence. Video shows Trump, who is running to be president again, dropping to the ground before standing up again and raising his fist to the crowd. So, we're going to follow some news coverage from the early morning up until where we are now, which is about 10 a.m. UK time, almost 5 a.m. Eastern time in the U.S. Secret Service faces questions after attack. The attack on Donald Trump at his campaign rally in Pennsylvania has put the spotlight on the apparent security lapse, and some are also pointing fingers at the Secret Service for letting an attacker slip by. The former president himself did thank the Secret Service and other law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that just took place. But questions are being raised, and some are calling it a complete failure on the part of the Secret Service. U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson vowed that the House will conduct a full investigation. In a post on X, formerly Twitter, the Speaker said, "The American people deserve to know the truth. We will have Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheeto and other appropriate officials from DHS and the FBI appear for hearing before our committee ASAP, as soon as possible." The DHS is the Department of Homeland Security. The Secret Service has agreed to brief the House Oversight Committee about the attack, a spokesperson confirmed to The Hill. Trump does get a very robust former protection detail that is with him all the time. But he doesn't necessarily get all of the different assets that are available. So I think that there are some aspects of this incident that are going to be investigated. Retired Secret Service Supervisor Bobby McDonald told Reuters. The Secret Service will now look at what happened and how they can, again, develop and continue to enhance their protective methodologies to make sure that things like this do not happen in the future. So, if you were just joining us, here's the latest. Donald Trump was injured after a gunman opened fire during a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. If you're just joining us, here's a quick wrap-up of everything we know so far. The former president was rushed off stage after what the FBI is now calling an assassination attempt. Footage showed him grimace and raise a hand to his right ear before ducking several sharp cracks. A series of shots broke out. In a post to his Truth Social network, Trump said a bullet pierced the upper part of his right ear and thanked the Secret Service. He left hospital shortly after receiving treatment. The gunman has been shot dead by Secret Service agents. At a news conference, the FBI said that they were waiting for DNA results to come in before naming him. This is expected to happen in the coming hours. The shooting also killed one bystander and injured two others. Authorities say all three victims are adult males. President Joe Biden has strongly condemned the sick attack, adding there's no place in America for this kind of violence. He has also spoken to Trump. Next, the DNA test to confirm identity of Trump gunman, says FBI. So the FBI says it is unable to release the name of the man who was suspected of shooting Trump at this time. This is earlier on. They say the man has been tentatively identified, but that DNA and biometrics tests must be done to conclusively confirm his identity. We are not prepared at this time to release the identity of the potential shooter. We are in the process of doing the confirmation. Once we get the confirmation, we will release the name officially to the press, the FBI Special Agent Kevin Rojek said. It's a matter of doing biometric confirmations. There was no identification on the individual. We are looking at photographs right now. We are trying to run his DNA and get biometric confirmation. The FBI also could not immediately ascertain what type of firearm was used and how many shots were fired. Moving on, there was breaking news that the Trump gunman named by the FBI, the man who is suspected of attempting to kill Donald Trump, is 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, according to a FBI statement released a short while ago. Right, so we just stayed with the news to keep up with the updates as they happened. Gunman was from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, according to the FBI. So more from the FBI statement, which has identified the gunman at the Trump rally as Thomas Matthew Crooks. It says Crooks was from Bethel Park of Pennsylvania. This is a town about 70 kilometers, 43 miles, or an hour's drive from Butler, the site of the attempted assassination. This remains an active and ongoing investigation, and anyone with information that may assist with the investigation is encouraged to submit photos or videos online, the statement added. We now follow up with a report from Gary O'Donoghue. He is BBC's Washington correspondent speaking from Pennsylvania. A shocking moment in American history. It was pretty scary. We weren't in anything like as much danger as those in front of the stage, but to be honest, when people start shooting, you start getting frightened. What we also saw as people started to stream out, and we got to the point where we thought that it was reasonably safe to start working again, was people were upset and angry, very emotional. Some were very, very angry indeed. There are going to be so many questions about the security. It's an outdoor venue, so it has a perimeter. Why weren't they on every low roof around this venue? Why hadn't they checked those roofs? How did a man with a semi-automatic rifle get onto that roof and get a clear shot at a former president? It's a shocking, shocking moment, I think, in American history. The anger is sprayed all around. The problem is how it's going to land, where it's going to land, and what it's going to mean, and not just for this election campaign, but for the future of this country. Political leadership has a choice as to how to process this, how to lead the country out of this, and if it doesn't do it right, things could get a lot worse. According to the police, no other threat after Trump attack. So Pennsylvania police say they have monitored no further threats following the shooting of Donald Trump on Saturday, and that they have no reason to believe ongoing threat after the rally shooting. Now we follow up with Anthony Zurcher, who's the BBC North American correspondent, with his analysis. A dark and dangerous new chapter for American politics. The attack on Donald Trump has torn through the 2024 presidential campaign, damaging the social and cultural fabric of the nation. The illusion of security and safety in American politics, built over decades, has been dramatically shattered. Not since Ronald Reagan was shot by John Hinckley Jr. in 1981 has there been such a dramatic act of violence directed against a president or presidential candidate. When there is political violence in the U.S., there is intense political polarization and dysfunction. When a firearm and an individual willing to use it could change the course of history. It is difficult to predict the impact Saturday's events will have on America and its political discourse, but for now, one thing is clear. In a year of uncharted electoral waters, America's politics have taken a new deadly turn. Following up with Trump's well-being, we get a report saying Trump doing well and grateful to security officers. Donald Trump is doing well and is grateful to law enforcement officers, according to a statement published on the Republican National Committee website, the RNC. It says he looks forward to joining you all in Milwaukee as we proceed with our convention to nominate him to serve as the 47th President of the United States. As our party's nominee, he will continue to share his vision to make America great again. The statement from the Trump campaign in RNC reads, earlier, Trump posted a statement on Truth Social platform he founded. He thanked law enforcement officers and the Secret Service for their rapid response. Most importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed, and also to the family of another person that was badly injured. It is incredible that such an act can take place in our country, he said. Following that, we get our first glimpse of Trump leaving a plane, and first video since the assassination attempt. So the first video of Trump after the assassination attempt shows footage of Donald Trump since he survived the attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. He can be seen walking off a plane and waving briefly as he descends to a waiting vehicle. So, how has Joe Biden responded? No place in America for this, said Biden on Trump rally shooting. After the shooting, President Joe Biden released a statement expressing concern about the sick assassination attempt and saying he was grateful to hear that Donald Trump was safe. I have been briefed on the shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania. I'm grateful to hear that he's safe and doing well, he said. I'm praying for him and his family and for all those who were at the rally. As we await further information, Jill and I are grateful to the Secret Service for getting him to safety. There's no place for this kind of violence in America. We must unite as one nation to condemn it. It is sick. It's sick. Vice President Kamala Harris also released a statement underlining that she is relieved Trump was not seriously injured. We are praying for him, his family, and all those who have been injured and impacted by this senseless shooting. It has since been confirmed that President Biden has spoken with Trump. Following that, let's quickly look at how Donald Trump's family has responded. Donald Trump's daughter, Ivanka Trump, posted on X earlier to acknowledge the love and prayers for her father and for the other victims of the senseless violence. I am grateful to the Secret Service and all the other law enforcement officers for their quick and decisive actions today. I continue to pray for our country. I love you, Dad, today and always. Also posting on X, Donald Trump Jr. pinned an image of his father being escorted away from the rally in Pennsylvania with his fist in the air and blood streaked across his face. Alongside the image is the caption, "He'll never stop fighting to save America." On the same platform, Ariana Trump thanks God for her father being alive, adding that political violence is never the answer. As you saw today, my father is a fighter, and he will continue to fight for you and the USA. We'll now follow up with Joe Inwood of BBC News. How far was the suspected gunman from Donald Trump? Eyewitness accounts of the attempted assassination of Donald Trump talk of a man with an assault rifle able to take up position on a roof less than 200 meters from the former president. This version of events is clearly borne out by the numerous videos that have emerged since the shooting. One key bit of footage taken from just south of a flat warehouse with beige walls shows what seems to be the lifeless body of the shooter. By comparing this to images from Google Maps, as well as the location of trees and eyewitness accounts, we confirmed that he was on top of this building that was about 400 feet away. That has now been confirmed by the authorities, as is clear from the image shown. It was just a short distance from the stage where the rally was taking place, leading to difficult questions for the security services. Joe Inwood then talks about video that shows a possible first victim. So he says, "I've been looking at a video which appears to show the first person to have been shot, hit by a bullet seemingly intended for former President Trump. It is taken from a position in the crowd just to the right of the podium and swings to look at one of the stands behind him at the crucial moment. As Donald Trump says, take a look at what happened. The first gunshot can be heard. At this exact moment, a man in a white shirt and red baseball cap can be seen collapsing. He doubles over and seems to fall into the people in front of him. This happens around a second before the next shot, and more than 2 seconds before anyone else reacts. Whilst it is impossible to be certain, it seems highly likely that this man was hit by the first bullet." The world has been reacting to the news. Let's take a look at Nigel Farage as he highlights nasty narrative about Donald Trump. Reform UK leader and longtime Donald Trump ally, Nigel Farage, is joining Laura Kosenberg on her Sunday political program. He begins by saying he's very upset by the attack on his good friend, but not surprised. He says the nasty narrative put out by liberals who oppose him almost encourages this type of behavior. He highlights recent reported comments by Joe Biden before the shooting about putting Trump in the bullseye. Liberal intolerance is increasingly a part of this problem, Farage says, before outlining how he himself has been the victim of repeated physical attacks. And because it's me, no one cares, he says. So, will Trump continue holding rallies? Nigel Farage is also asked about the impact this incident could have on the presidential race. He says Trump lives and breathes by big rallies. Sometimes he says they have 10,000 attendees, sometimes 50,000. It is the energy that's generated that spreads out through communities and gets him his vote, he says, before asking, does Trump go on doing what he's always done? Farage suspects that knowing Trump as I do, the former president will carry on regardless. The Trump campaign confirmed earlier that he still plans to attend the Republican National Convention starting in Milwaukee on the 15th of July, despite being injured in a shooting on Saturday. Some people are saying that possibly rallies should be moved to indoor facilities where safety measures can be properly taken, and so something like this does not repeat itself. So Trump advisor questions Secret Service after shooting. A senior advisor to Donald Trump's campaign says there are questions about how prepared the Secret Service was. Speaking to the BBC World Service program, Weekend, Stephen Moore calls it a scary day. We're all in shock. And I quote, "I got a text from one of my associates saying that Trump had been shot, and my heart just sank. And I was afraid to ask the question, is he going to be all right?" Moore says. It appeared from the video that he'd only been grazed by this bullet, but what's so frightening to all of us is that if that bullet had been 1 inch further towards his head, this would have been an assassination. Moore adds that certainly Trump needs more protection. There is a lot of inquiry now about whether the Secret Service was totally prepared. As the story develops, we're now hearing more from people who were in attendance. A witness says he saw a gunman on a roof and tried to warn police. So a witness who says he saw a gunman on the roof before the shooting happened has been interviewed by the BBC. He says, and I quote, "We were telling the police we were pointing at him for the Secret Service." He told the BBC's reporter at the scene, Gary O'Donoghue. This eyewitness can be seen wearing a Trump 2020 red visor as he goes over the scenario of him noticing the person on the roof. "He's got a gun on the roof," he says. Following the video that has now been released, the witness says he saw the gunman himself bear crawling on the roof, which is very concerning. That this was actually noticed by somebody at the rally before law enforcement did. That's all we have for this episode, but we'll keep following the story as it develops and report back to you on any new findings. Thanks for stopping by. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.